Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Coding with T. Today we are going to learn how to design product detail screen. Okay, first of all, let's quickly have a look what we are going to create. We are inside our application. Home screen is completed. Store wish list profile screens with the in detail profile view is also created. If you're new, you can get the playlist link from the description. So let's click on this product to view its detail. In the previous tutorial, we'll learn how to create this product image slider, then how to add image at the top. We also see how to create this share icon, ratings button, product price, price range, and also the discount percentage. Then we see the product title, product stock status, and also the brand of the product. Whereas in today's tutorial, we learn how to add the variation detail. If we are changing the variations, you can see the detail of that specific variation is also being changed. So this is what we are going to create. We'll learn how to dynamically add the color with all the color sizes and with selected chips. Then we have checkout button, description, reviews option. Then at the bottom, you can see we have add to cart, which is a counter, and then we have add to bag options. So this is what we are going to achieve today. Let's get started. Flutter e-commerce application, and we have already completed our section 1 for the prerequisites, section 2 related to login sign up, and in section 3 we are designing Flutter e-commerce application design. So only a few videos left to this design. Next we will start the backend onward from section 4 and section 5. So let's get started with the remaining design of product detail screen. You can again get the complete playlist link from the description or get the complete code from the link provided in the description or from the right top corner. So we are inside our project. In the previous tutorial, we learned how to design the product details, which is inside the lib folder features. We are designing the shop features, and in the screens, we are designing the product detail. We already created few of the product details screen, which is part one as product image slider, then product details, rating and share button, price title and stock with brand details, which is a product metadata. So these four things are created in the previous tutorial, whereas today we are going to design the four major and the very important things for e-commerce application. The first one is the attributes, which itself has their importance because if you want to design an e-commerce application which has multiple variations or its each product can have multiple variations, then this is the crucial part that you need in your application. Definitely when we are going to do the backend, we will add conditions over here that if attributes are not null for some specific product or the product type is not variable product type, then we will not display attributes. Otherwise we will display the attributes. But first, as this is a design tutorial, we will first learn how to design the attributes. So if you see the design, we have a variation, the specific card of the variation, and in that variation we will display only the selected variation with its title, price, stock status and description, which can be up to 4 lines maximum. So first we have to design this because all the elements will go in vertical direction. So I have already created a widget over here which is product attributes dot which is an empty stateless widget. Product attributes, just import that library over here and then head back to this class. Now we will start designing in this class. Column will lay out all the elements in a vertical direction. Okay, first of all, we need to design selected attribute pricing. So for that, I'm going to use a rounded container. If you don't have this container, you are new, you just have to create a simple container and using its box decoration, because we have already defined the box decoration, color, border radius. Color is basically the background color, the property already added. And to make the border circular, you have to give the border radius, and by default we have border radius of card radius large, which is 16.0. So in here we have to give the background color, and in the product details, let's copy this one, the function, which is a helper function, which checks that currently screen mode is in the dark mode or on the light mode. So let's go to this class and you see this function, which is theme.of_context brightness is equal to dark. Where it is located, it's inside the utils, helpers and helper functions. As it is static, so we can easily access this class thelper functions dot name of the function. It's going to return us a boolean. If it is dark, we want to use the darker gray color, else on the light mode we will use simply gray color. Again, these colors are already defined. This is the darker gray and this is dark gray, this is a gray. Inside tcolors class, remove the constant from the top. As a child of this container, we want to create first column because variation title with price and stock are on the first row. Then in the second, we have the product details. So first of all, inside this row to add title, we want to use the T heading or the T section heading widget. So it's a T section heading with the title as variation. Section heading class is also created. It uses row property and text as a simple text with ellipses max line 1, and additionally we have one option which is show action button. If it's true, it is going to display the text button, otherwise not. Add a constant. By default it's true. Make show action button false. Let's run the application. Okay, so our application is running. Let's go to login. Click on sign in button and we can see the products. Let's click on this product detail, and down below you can see we have the container created, and also we have title variation. So to add some space around this container, we will use the padding property as insets dot medium. Medium is 16.0. Okay, so you can see padding has been applied. Next, to add the actual price after this heading, because we are inside the row, so we are going to make elements placed in in a horizontal direction. So that's why we use the size box for the specific size using space between items. Now for the actual and sale price, we can use another row because they both will act like a single widget. So we are going to place them inside another row. For the actual price, let's use the text because this is a design. So remove the constant at the top. So for the design, because we want to display all the maximum possibilities. So first one, I'm going to treat that currently the discount is active and we have $25. To add a dollar sign, you have to add backslash to make it appear in the design in the string. And the style I'm going to use is the title small with the applied decoration, which is line through. This means that when we are going to save this, you see that the dollar price is currently trimmed, and on top of this row, we're going to use the product title text. This is the product title text. It has two options: small size with the label large, and otherwise if it's not small, it will use the title small as a large size. So we are going to use the small size over here, which is a boolean, and use the price text. Let's save it. So we have a price. In the same way, we're going to add the second actual price, or you can say the sale price. Let's save it. We need to add another width space between these two. So after the first text, let's add width space between items, and this time we are not going to apply anything to this line through. So this means that we can easily choose, instead of this text, we have T product price text, and as a price we can simply give 20, because already if you see this design, we have already a separate string which is basically concatenating, but a separate string which is representing the currency. We can give any other currency to this, but we just have to pass the price in the string. Max lines overflow style has two options, is large and is small. And also over here we have a line through property, which is a boolean. So if we require a line through like this one, we can use it, otherwise no need. Let's save it, and you can see the actual price is now in a bit bold size. We will not create the row over here because the variation will be on the left. Then these two prices and the stock status will be inside the column. So let me wrap this title with a column property. So inside this column, the first row will contain the title and two prices. We can also add small space next to this one. And now as a second row of this column, we can create stock. So as a first row, we have the actual price. As a second row, I've created again a row with a product title text, like at the top, this title is a price, this is the stock. And as a result, it will contain in stock. Currently it's static, but later on we will change it to dynamic. So we can display both price and stock. Let's go to column and change its cross axis alignment and make it push it to the start. Let's save it. And now you can see we can display both price and text. We can remove this extra space, or you can add the extra space over here to make sure that they both should be aligned perfectly. Once the price title and stock added, let's add the variation description. So I've added product title text, which is going to be used with a small size, and max line will be 4. Control Alt L, add a constant. So this is it for the variation description. Let's save it. And you can see we have currently variation covering 2 lines. We can also view this in the dark mode. So you can see currently we have the dark mode visible. Switch it back. Next to this rounded container, let's minimize it. Inside this column, let's first give it some space between items. Next, we want to create the attributes. So first of all, we are going to design each attribute in a separate column. The reason will be cleared when we are going to talk about the backend, but we will also try to learn why we are going to use the column over here. Column will have each attribute with its own value. The reason to use the column is very obvious, that we might have multiple attributes with their own values. Let's say we have color with the different color values, then we have size with the different size values. These all values are being fetched from the Firebase, where admin stored the data for that specific product. So we don't know which product has which values and what is the actual name of that specific values. Let's say we have a property added by the admin is a color. Attribute name will be color. So first we need to add the heading in each column, and then definitely after that specific value we will add rest of the values, which is green, blue, black, and things going on. Same with the sizes. Let's say we have European size with the 32, 34, 36, or maybe UK sizes. So target those things. We have to repeat, or we will try to add a loop on top of this column so that we can easily maintain each and everything. But for the design in this column, as a children, first thing we need to create section heading, which will display the title of this attribute. Let's say its color. Add some space. Also add a constant at the top. After this space, we're going to create a choice chip which can be selected or unselected. We can make selections on that specific chip. So let's use choice chip. It requires two main things. The first one is the label, which is the actual text, and then the position of that chip, which is selected or not selected, is a Boolean state. So let's say, because we're using color, let's say we are going to pass the text as green, make the selected as true. We have to wrap this string in a widget because it requires widget. So let's wrap it. Let's save the code. And down below you can see we have also, because it's not toggleable, we don't have any action method over here, which is on selected. So let's use this one. You have to remove the constant from the top to remove this error. Okay, now let's save it. And you can see our design is now clickable. And if we're going to make this false, what will be the state of this chip? You can see it's not selected, and by default its background color is also changed. We're going to go inside this choice chip, Control Alt L. We have a label style property, and we have to check that if the current choice chip is selected, we will make this to white, otherwise we will do nothing. Let's say it's true. Let's save this. Also make this true. This means that it's this chip is selected and the design of the text label is changed to white. We will create a separate widget and we'll call these values from over here. So why not create first, extract Flutter widget. Okay, so let's go to common in the widgets. I have created a new folder with the name chips, and in here we have a simple stateless class which is t choice chip, and we have a choice chip. Label is a text which we can get it from where we are using this. Selected is again a boolean over here which is required, and on selected is optional, because if on selected is not provided by default, this chip will be disabled. So if we don't have any attribute or elements of the attribute, or the stock is out of the status for that specific attribute which is not null, then we will make that disable by not passing anything to this selected feature. And as a label style, if that selected is true, we will display the white color, otherwise we are not going to display anything. Okay, before doing anything else, to make that chip circular for some specific events, because we are using dynamically this chip, so in some states we want that chip to have different shape rather than to be squared. So before that, if you are using this chip and if you didn't follow the previous tutorial and if you don't have the themes we created, so let me walk you through with the go to utils in the theme, and down below we have chip theme over here. So the styling is already created and completed. So that's why you are seeing the background as blue with the radius already added and things like that. This means that when we are going to make it disable, we are using the gray color with opacity 0.4 for the light theme. This is for the dark theme. Label style by default is black, and over here it's white. Selected color is primary for both cases, light and dark modes. Then padding is already given. The horizontal padding is 12.0 and vertical is 12. And also check mark color is the color of the icon, which will be white when selected, and also white because we are only displaying the check mark color when it's selected, or the icon check icon will only be displayed when it's selected. So at that time we want to make the background color as primary, so that's why selected color is primary. We need icon color to be white, so you have to design this. To use this theme, if you're new, you just have to go to theme.dart, create this theme for the light mode, for the dark mode, and in here you have to search for the chip theme, assign light chip and assign dark chip to this one, and simply head towards the main app using material app. Where you're using this material app, if you're not using the get, you just have to assign theme, which is the light theme, then dark theme will be the dark theme will be applied. Okay, now we want to make our chip circular. For that, we are going to use something which is the helper function. So to make screen different, we have avatar widget. Sorry, not screen, the chip widget in a different shape. We're going to use this avatar widget. And let me first show you that how we can change it. Use the circular container. Width and height will be 50. And let's add background color as colors.green. Let's assume we currently have green color. So let's add a constant. Let's save this. Nothing changed. We have to head back over here. Replace this with the choice chip. Let's add some text. Let's make the selected to true. Let's save it. Add a constant. Now you can see we have a green color at the background. Avatar is basically the icon. So icon is currently having a green color. To make it circular, we have another property which is shape property. So we will use circle border. Let's save this. And now you can see we have circular shape, but instead or inside we have a text. Let's say we don't have any text. Let's make it null. And now you can see we have that specific icon in the circle. To make the circle, we have to find a way around. Let's also search for the background property, make this green as well. Okay, next you can see the icon color is in the green. To make that icon in the center, so we'll use the label padding to 0. Let's save it. And you can see icon is in the center. To make that icon to appear completely or on the full chip, because currently the icon background color, which is what we want to display. So we will use the same label padding, control D, add this padding as agentsets dot 0. Let's save it. And you can see we have our icon currently which is selected. So we can also change the selected color, colors dot green. And you can see we have that specific color we want. But how we can get the colors based on the text? This is something that you have to focus on. Currently, you can see we have only written green over here, and we are going to use, let's say, we are going to call the t helper functions over here dot get color. We'll pass the text to this one. If it is not null, we simply want to display sized box, else we want to display the text color. Add a constant. Now let's go to colors. This is the helper functions. In the get color, we have a simple if else statement. You can use switch over here, you can use anything, but it's just for the learning purpose that if we have a value which is a string in green, then we can pass the green. Still in the else if I have again added a green over here, then we have red, blue, pink, gray, purple, and so on and so forth. What you can do is in the admin panel, you can let the user give a list of colors in the using the drop down. So let's say user is going to select purple from the drop down. You just have to save the text as purple in the database. And when over here, when we are fetching those values saved in the admin panel, we can simply pass the text to this function. It is going to check that if value is equal to green, it will return a green color. Otherwise, at the end, you can see we have, if nothing found, no match is found, we are returning null over here. So we can easily check that if helper function is returning null, we will display the text as it is. If it is not returning null, this means that it has some color. So we don't want to display the text in this case. So let's display the sized box. Select it, then on selected is also over there. Same, let's change this avatar. We will only display this container if we have something in the background color. So over here, we again added helper function, which is if it's not null, we'll use the container color. And as a background color of this container, we will get the color from this one. At the end, you have to add this sign because it's nullable. So we cannot assign null color to this background. Else, if there is no avatar, we don't want to pass anything. So we'll pass the null. So it will pick the default color created in the theme. Same for the shape. Let me add all values. So in here you can see if label padding will receive some color and it is not null. Instead of calling again and again this function, because it's a static function, we can call it. But if you don't want to use it over here, we can simply create a variable, which is a final variable. Name it is color. Call this function. It is going to check if it is a color. Simply we can replace all these values. And also to check over here if this color is not is equal to null, we will return as a true, else return as a false. So we don't need not is equal to null over here. We can simply check if it is color, use the size box, replace all these values. Now we have a simple is color. If it is not null, we will display the size box. Over here, it's not null, display the container, make the padding 0, and so on. Now head back to product attributes. In here, let's try 2 to 3 values. This is a green, this is blue, this is yellow. Make one selected, two selected to false. And same way, let me copy this column one more time. And this time I'm not going to make it colors, but let's make it size. And we have three sizes. Now let's save it. And down below you can see we have three different chips with three different colors as well. These are nullable because to display complete actual colors, we have to use the onSelected property. It will have a value over here, and also it cannot be constant. If you don't have anything in the onSelected value, it will display the colors like this, which is the disabled mode. So let's save it. And now you can see the vibrant colors. So these are the selected or not selected values. If we're going to make the second one selected, it will work like this. And down below again, you can see we have the different values. Currently, we cannot see those values. The reason is that we have not added text over here in the text widget. Let's remove the constant. Let's save it. And down below, you can see again, we have same issue. They all are disabled. Let's copy and paste on selected to them, remove the constant. Let's save it. And now you can see the active chips. Now we want to make sure that any length of the chips can easily be incorporated in our design in a horizontal direction. So they are not scrollable, but if they reach at the end of the screen, they should move toward the next row. So to do that, we are going to cut them from here. We are going to use the wrap widget. It has a list of children. Let's paste those children. Let's save it. And you can see we have three attributes. We can increase these values to 6, and you can see whenever it's going to reach the limit of the row, it is going to push the next widget to the next line. We can also make this wrap to use the spacing of 8. Let's save this. And now you can see we have some specific sort of spacing between all the values. We can do the same also on this heading. Show action button will be false. Add a constant. Let's save it. Now we have only colors and sizes. We also want to wrap this with a wrap widget, and we also have to add spacing as 8 for both of them. Now let's duplicate it a few more times, and you will see that our design is working very fine. We can add as much as chips as possible, so our design can easily be incorporated to any of the screens. So this means that we have the adaptive design to any screen. In the backend, we will definitely turn these things into dynamic, so we will not have this much of code over here. So that's it for product attribute. Let's go to the product detail screen. In here at the column, let's also use the cross-axis alignment and make it start. All the values should start from the left side. And also let me do it for the colors. Now our design for the attributes is almost completed. Let's head back to product details. In here, let's create a checkout button. Simply use the elevated button as a text, make it checkout, remove the constant. Let's save the code. And down below, you can see we have elevated button ready. Wrap this widget with a sized box and make the width property of this sized box as double dot infinity. Control save. And we have the button covering the complete width using double dot infinity property. After this attributes, we have to use space between sections, add some space which is 32. Let's save it, and you can see we have some space available. Next to this, let's create a description. For the description, we again want to use heading over here. So we'll use the T section heading as description. Size box will add some space. So down below we have the description available. Make show action button to false. Again, we need some space down below this button. So to add the description, we're going to use some toggleable properties. First go to pubspec.yml file, and in here for the product specific features, let's add readme, extract the carousel slider over here as well. Let's click on pubget. So this is the library that we are going to use. This is the package, which is read more package. And over here you can see we can toggle the text, make it expandable, make it show less. So to use it, we have a new widget which is read more text widget. Hit enter as a data property. Let's add some string. Then we have another property which is trim lines. We can give it to, this is going to trim the lines after these number of lines. We also have one more thing which is a trim mode. Trim mode can be dot length, dot line. Let's use the trim mode dot line. Then we have trim collapse text and expanded text, show more and less. Next, we can style both more style and less style. So this is the style, we're using a text style. Give it some font size. Then we have some weight over here. Let's save the code. So as we added a new product, we have to do the hot restart. Add a constant. Let's go to login. Click on it. Click on this product. And down below, you can see we have our product being displayed. We can add show more and show less is being working very fine. Then next to this, for the reviews, we are going to use a divider first. Just to add a divider, add some space below this divider. Next, to add specific things related to review, we are going to use the section heading, but not as usual. It will display the reviews with a number of reviews we will fetch later on. After this, we have show action button by default, which is true. Use the on press event of this and make it nullable, and let's save it. Now after this divider, you can see we have reviews with an view all text. If you want to add icon button over here, you can simply create a row. Row will have two things. First is the section heading, simply title, and then we have an icon button. And so we also don't want to display this icon button. Let's save it. And now you can see you still have view all button. So you want to make it false. Let's save this. And we have reviews. Then at the end we have an icon button. Now to add the bottom counter, we have to scroll top in the scaffold. So to add a bottom card, we have a property which is bottom navigation bar, and I have created a class which is t bottom add to cart. We will later on pass the product to this, but for now let's go to this class. It is created in the same product details class, and in the widgets at the top you can see it's a simple bottom add to cart widget, which is a stateless widget. It has an empty container. This container have some padding. Padding will be symmetric, using horizontal is default space and vertical is default space. Divide by 2, half of the default space. Then to make it circular, only two top edges will be circular, so we have to use a box decoration. First add some background color to this. If the brightness is dark mode, we will use darker gray, otherwise we will use the light color. Then for the border radius, use the border radius dot only, and we only have to give two things: border top right and top left. Add a constant. So top right will be radius dot circular with a card radius large size, which is 16, and same for the top right circular with the card radius large. This container was the layout. So now as a child of this container, we want to place elements in a row, so we have to use the row with a children's property. So inside this row, we first have to create plus, minus, and the counter icon. So we again have to use the row for this, called the T circular icon widget. This is the T circular icon widget that we already created. If we're not going to pass the background color, it will use the default dark mode and light mode background colors. Else we have the border radius by default to make it circular. We can give width, height, icon, color, background color, and on press. So head back. Let's give it icon as icon minus. Let's also save this. And down below, you can see we have a small button over here which is displaying the minus sign. give width and height to 40 to reduce its size. And as an icon color, we're going to make it white. Let's save it. And you can see the minus icon is created. Next to this, we want to create a text with the two spaces. So the first space is space between item. It is a width. Again, it's a width. Then in the text, we will use the title small style. Let's save it. And you can see we have two written over there. We will copy this same icon style, paste it one more time. We will use the add icon over here. Let's save it. Also, the background color will be black. So we have minus and plus icons created. Next to this row, create an elevated button. Its on press is now add a constant, add to cart. Let's save it. A button is created. We also want to change some properties of this button. To give it a style, Control Alt L. Next to this on pressed, we have a style property. And to style the button, we will use elevated button dot style from. Inside this, we have a padding, which is small padding, which is a medium size. Then we have a background color as black. Side will be, or the border side will again will be black. Let's save it. And you can see the button is created. Now we want to make these two elements. The first one is row, second one is button to be have space between. So we will use main axis alignment as space between. Let's save it. So our button and add to cart buttons are added. Now whenever we are going to scroll up and down, our bottom card will remain same. For the dark mode, you can see it's also looking pretty nice. We have a curve radius at the edges, and then we have both minus and plus signs with a back. And I wanted one more thing, that if you want to make this background color of this chip to transparent, you have to head towards the product attributes. Inside the T choice chip, you have to wrap this choice chip with a widget which is theme. Use the data of the theme called theme.of_context dot copy with to copy all the remaining style, but we only want to change the canvas color to transparent. So use colors dot transparent. Let's save it. And you can see the background color is now transparent. There is no other way to change the background color of this chip. Okay, so that's it for today's tutorial. The tutorial was a bit long, but I hope you learned something new. And you can also get the complete code of this complete e-commerce application. Link is in the description, or you can also get the complete playlist to follow the videos along. If you learn something new, please like the video. And if you're new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified for all the upcoming changes. Once again, thank you for watching. Take care. Allah Hafiz.